This tiny puppy arrived at the shelter shaking and afraid, but no one expected what he'd do next, because in the next cage was a blind cat who couldn't see anything at all. And every time someone walked by, the cat would freeze in fear, until one day, the puppy pressed himself against the cage bars and refused to move, growling softly whenever anyone came too close. And when the volunteers finally opened the cages, the puppy immediately stood in front of the blind cat like a shield, guiding him with gentle nudges and sleeping curled around him every night. And whenever the cat got scared, the puppy would place his paw over him until he calmed down, and families tried to adopt the puppy alone, but he would pull back and sit beside the blind cat. So when one family asked why he would leave, a volunteer said, because he thinks it's his job to protect him. And in the end, they were adopted together, and now the blind cat has eyes, and the tiny puppy has a purpose, proving that sometimes the smallest protectors have the biggest hearts. This old shelter dog named Max had stopped lifting his head when people walked by, because after years of being ignored, he seemed to expect nothing anymore. Until one quiet afternoon, a tiny kitten named Luna was placed in the cage next to him. And while everyone watched the kitten explore, something unexpected happened. Luna walked straight toward Max, climbed into his cage, and gently curled up against his chest. And for the first time, Max's tail began to move. Then slowly his eyes softened, and what looked like a smile appeared on his face. And from that moment on, Max followed Luna everywhere, sitting up whenever she moved and lying back down only when she was safe. And families asked to adopt the kitten alone, but Luna would cry and run back to Max, refusing to leave. So when one visitor asked why the old dog suddenly looked so alive, a volunteer quietly said, because someone finally chose him. And in the end, they were adopted together, proving that sometimes it's not people who save animals, but animals who save each other. This pregnant stray cat kept returning to one house, refusing to leave. And the reason will break your heart. Sarah kept finding the same orange tabby on her porch every morning. The cat was pregnant and exhausted, but Sarah couldn't have pets. The cat kept coming back anyway. One rainy night, Sarah heard desperate meowing. She opened the door and the cat ran straight to the bedroom and gave birth to 4 kittens on Sarah's bed. Sarah took the cat to the vet the next day. They found a microchip. When they called the number, an elderly man answered crying. This was his late wife's cat named Bella. His wife had died 6 months ago in that exact house. They'd sold it to Sarah 3 months ago. Bella had traveled miles to come home to have her babies where she felt safest. The old man said, "My wife always said Bella would know the way home." Now Bella and her 4 kittens live with Sarah in the house. Subscribe if you believe home is where the heart remembers.